You know, science is fascinating. Like the title says, I like science. Me like science. Science good. Is proud of the title. And as it says, I like science, particularly the physical sciences. And in this video, I'm going to talk about biology, with mainly biology, and how gosh darn weird it is. Like, obviously, nobody can cover whole the entire biology, but I will tell you what part of it makes me interested. So, let's take it from the top. The simple fact that living things exist, like we exist, is baffling if you think about it. Like, how, how the hell did this happen? Like, you and I, like, if you move your hand, like, clench your fist, it's, it's amazing to think that we, as a species, as individuals, were created over billions of years of what is just random chance, basically. Like, it's, as they say, if you run the tape of life again, you will always get different results. But to think that life exists is even greater, even more of a mystery when you think about physics, because if you think in terms of physics, because all not objects but particles tend to wish to be at the lowest energy states, and well, we're not at the lowest energy states, far from it. Actually, we're pretty in a pretty high energy state, very unlikely. But in my eyes, there are two answers for this. One, we exist by random chance, which is fair. Two, the continuation of our existence is related to our ability to make energy less usable, because that's the thing that humans do very often. We make, well, humans, living things, do constantly. We make very plentiful energy into paired usable energy, like sunlight. We receive is converted into sounds and heat and other forms of energy that is unusable, and that could be a reason that we continue to exist, because we increase the amount of unusable energy. That could be it. But hey, I'm just this is what I've heard. Now, to the weird things, like the fact that female hyenas have penises and they give birth to them. That's a big fact. And how life exists basically everywhere. Like on Earth, you could find life in every corner of planet, from the deepest points like Challenger Deep to the coldest places to the hottest even. Like you can find them in hydrothermal vents. You can find them in the deepest point of the Earth. You got one Earth's waters, deepest point in Earth's waters. You can find it basically everywhere, even in the deepest points in Earth's soil. Like there are fascinating creatures. Like there's a species of shark which can shoot out their jaws 2 feet forwards to catch predators. There's all sorts of weird things. There are platypuses, weird homunculus looking motherfuckers. Like they, they have a build like one of them beavers, but have a beak and secrete poison and lay eggs, which is not what you expect from mammals. Not at all. It's just interesting. And even historical animals like dinosaurs. Like my my fascination with biological science, it started by dinosaurs, basically. Like the simple fascination to imagine beasts weighing tens of tons and walking on the ground and with every step shaking the earth itself fascinates me. Like, imagine you look up, uh, you were born when the dinosaurs existed, and you look up and you see just a head poking out, like one of them Bronchiosaurus's heads poking out, just eating leaves, and you find another T-Rex after your ass. That fascinates me. And to think that, and there are more disgusting things like the fact that right before the dinosaurs came into being, there were insects the size of humans, like larger than we are. That is just disgusting. And mosquitoes, this is one gripe that I absolutely must speak of. I hate mosquitoes. If I could, I would exterminate every blood-sucking mosquito. Those little bastards should not be allowed to exist. Like, these monsters have been terrorizing the world before, since the time of the dinosaurs. Like, it's insane that these things exist. Ugh, I hate them. So it's fascinating to me to think about how, just by the fact of, well, evolution, like, simple, if you think about evolution, is very simple. If a thing dies, it cannot, well, have kids. It's dead. It can't do anything. So whatever lives probably lives to have kids. So that's where you get modern animals. If it doesn't work, then they die. Which is honestly very simple to think. Like, very basic. And it is basically the only thing that made us what we are right now. Like, small evolutions, small changes, maybe even one or two cells, two strands of DNA being different, or one or two proteins being produced, and something very small has made us what we are today. Though it took millions of years for us to get here, but not even millions, but billions of years for us to get here. But I think that we started from, which is basically not even one celled organisms, to what we are today. It's fascinating. And I wonder, sometimes when I am sitting, I wonder what the first creature looked like, what the first living thing was. And probably not even what you think. It was probably not even a cell. It was almost like a cell, but probably not like a modern cell. And the fact that living things have some living things have optimized for living hundreds of years. Like, I was listening about the longest living vertebrate creatures, which have spines. it which happens to be the Greenland shark, of which are mostly, if not completely, blind, and their meat is filled with piss, quite literally. And that is why people don't eat them. They're disgusting. Ugh. Like, they're poisonous. That's why nobody eats them, and they live like 500 years, which is insane. Like the the 500-year-old Greenland shark was born when the conquistadors went to America. That is how old they are. And other creatures have found semi loophole to immortality, to become somewhat immortal. Like, well, not immortal in the sense that they are unkillable, immortal in the sense that they don't age. as we do. Like, well, lobsters, they don't have the same form of aging. They don't weaken over time. They actually get better at their job, multiplying, and they only die naturally because their own shell hard to remove, that it takes so much energy to remove it that they die in the process of removing it. And jellyfish, so of course jellyfish are immortal. Like, a species of jellyfish exists where it, when times get tough, it turns from an adult back to a baby jellyfish, and then it cells de-age, and then it starts reliving its life again. Again, it loses its memory, but besides the point, it's fascinating. Truly. Like, another thing about biology is that it does not give a shit about your you. It cares about your species. Individuals do not matter to it. For example, there is a species of rat which in which males die every year. Like, every male dies yearly. It's an Australian species that I cannot remember the name of, but these critters get turned from living machines into sex zombies, basically, and go wild. The males go wild when insect population booms. Of course, they go wild, and then they die because, of course, this doesn't turn off. It is fascinating to me to think that how, just by random chance, various problems are solved, like these flying squirrels and creatures that look like it but aren't, solve very similar problems like them by just gliding over across streets. Like in forests, touching the ground is both expensive in terms of energy and dangerous, so many creatures develop gliding, and it has happened 3 different times. And crabs, they are like best crustacean breed there is. Like, there are thousands of crab but not crabs. Like, there are thousands of species that look like crab but aren't. It's fascinating to think how various very different problems are solved in very similar ways. Like dolphins and 1,000-year-old cephalopods, which have very similar builds to solve very similar problems. And just this form of fascination of mine extends to other fields of science, physical sciences. So, I will talk about, maybe I will probably talk about physics and maybe chemistry some other day. Well, that's about it for me. Bye.